Welcome to the Las Vegas Review-Journal Judicial Primary Debates. Here's your host, Victor Jakes.
Hi, I'm Victor Jakes. Welcome to the Las Vegas Review-Journal's Nevada Judicial Debate Series. Today's debate is between the three candidates running for Clark County Family Court Department B. They are Craig Bourke, Jack Fleeman, and Margaret Pickard. This is a new seat, so there isn't an incumbent. Before we begin, a word on the format. We are conducting this debate over Zoom in response to the coronavirus outbreak, and we urge everyone to take precautions to keep each other safe and healthy. We'll start by giving each candidate a 1-minute opening statement. Craig, we'll start with you.
Great. Hi, my name is Craig Bourke, and I have been practicing almost exclusively in family law for 15 years, with an additional 5 years as a judicial law clerk and as a private practice attorney. In fact, I began my career at the family court as a judicial law clerk, and coincidentally, that's where I met the woman who would become the mother of my son and my wife. I've represented many different kinds of clients across the entire board, issues and problems, and it's always been my focus from day one, get these people to a better place in their lives. I've always focused all of my attention on examining the laws and the facts as a way of finding a way to get them to a better place in their lives and to get their children to a better place and to get them through what is otherwise a very difficult system. Most people go into this, they are frightened, and I understand that. I've been through it, and I know that. So with that perspective, I believe it's kind of a unique perspective. I have unfortunately been through it, and I know how frightening it can be. And with that in mind, I've always focused my attention on letting the clients know and letting the litigants know that it will get better and that their rights.
Craig, we got it. I appreciate it.
I've always focused on getting them their trials, getting them their evidentiary hearings, and getting them through the system and making sure.
All right, Craig, I got to go to Jack. Craig, I got to go to Jack. Thank you. All right, Jack, 1 minute.
Thank you for inviting me here tonight. My name is Jack Fleeman, and I'm running for Family Court Judge in Department V. I was born and raised in Las Vegas, and I graduated in the top 10% of my class at the Boyd School of Law at UNLV. After law school, I've dedicated myself to family law, and I want to be your family court judge because I believe and I have a passion for helping children and their families through some of the toughest times in their lives. I believe I'm the best candidate for Department V because I have the knowledge, experience, ethics, and temperament for the job. I am the only certified Nevada family law specialist in this race, and I've litigated hundreds of cases before our local family courts. And I've argued numerous cases as well before the Supreme Court, resulting recently in 2 published family law opinions. I've never received a bar complaint, and I served on the State Bar Attorney Discipline Committee. If elected, I'll treat all litigants with respect, and I will apply the law equally to all parties. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for taking time to watch this debate, and I hope I can earn your vote in the upcoming election.
Thank you, Jack. Margaret, 1 minute.
Thank you, Victor, for having me tonight. I am currently a hearing master at the Family Court. I currently oversee cases of child abuse and neglect in courtroom 14. I was appointed by the presiding family court judge in 2016. Prior to that, I worked as a parent coordinator and family mediator in family law to help parents work through child custody matters. In 2014 through 2018, I served on the Nevada State Bar's Family Law Executive Committee, where I was elected by Nevada family law attorneys and judges throughout the state. I served as a co-chair of the Nevada Family Law Child Witness Committee, as well as the co-editor of the Nevada Family Law Report. I am committed to the families of our community. I've trained family law judges and the family law attorneys in our community to help parents who are going through child custody disputes. I've also been divorced and share custody of my children. I am committed to you, the electorate, and I hope that to gain your support in the next election. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. All right, this first question will go to all of you, but Craig, you'll get the first answer. Divorces are a big part of family court and frequently involve emotional disputes. Will you tell us why you're the person best prepared to bring these conflicts to as peaceable a resolution as possible? Craig?
I've always been kind of a people person, and I think I've always been able to get in touch with people and really connect with them on a personal level, especially representing them. So I think that with that understanding and my ability to kind of hone in and really get to know people and to connect with them on a personal level, I'll be able to help them with the proceedings and let them know that there's no need to be frightened. There's no need to be worried. that all of their rights are always going to be afforded to them, and that they have a judge who cares about their families, who cares about their children, who cares about them getting through what is otherwise a frightening and scary situation. But if they know they've got a judge who cares about what happens to them and getting them through the system, I will be that judge.
Thank you, Craig. Jack, what are your qualifications here to bring emotional disputes to a peaceable resolution?
Sure. I've been practicing family law for almost 13 years exclusively. I've handled hundreds of cases and gone to trial on approximately 36 cases in our family court system, with a wide range of cases, including divorce. And so what I always tell my clients is you want to make the decision for you and your children that's the best. As a judge, I would give people the same advice, is that you really make the best decision. You want to settle the case if you're possibly able to do so. And mediation, alternative dispute resolution, all of those things should be at their disposal to attempt that sort of thing. As a practitioner, I have always favored settlement, and most of the cases that I'm involved in, probably 90% settle. They don't go to trial.
Thank you, Jack. Margaret, same question to you.
I deal with regularly with parents who are very high emotion when they come into family court on a regular basis. On a daily basis, we see parents who have their children have been removed from them. I've also worked with the highest conflict cases by appointment of the judges on the family court bench to work and help parents who are in child custody disputes resolve those disputes. In most high conflict custody cases, most of the parents suffer from some type of personality disorder or a substance abuse issue. And our goal is to get them to the multiple alternative dispute resolutions that we have available at the family court, but to also work respectfully, kindly with those parents who are involved in this system.
Thank you, Margaret. And our judicial primary debates will continue in just a moment.
All your listeners and followers, the best name of any podcast in the world is podcast.
Nobody's ever done it. Nobody's ever faked
Not that we
their
know
death.
of.
No.
When you work with Prince, you got to get used to the fact that he changes musicians like underwear. You know, like
Tom Brady. And Tom Brady, he's a quarterback in the Boston area.
I'm not sure who you're talking about. Alexa, play my flash briefing.
Here's what's new in today's news.
Stay in the loop of the latest information in the Las Vegas Valley with the Las Vegas Review Journal Flash Briefing. Every day, we will provide you with everything you need to know in news, business, weather, entertainment, and sports. Go to the Alexa app and search LVRJ News Briefing. Then say, Alexa, play my flash briefing to hear 3 minutes of the most important information in Las Vegas.
You're watching the judicial primary debate for Family Court Department V. It's part of an ongoing series of debates produced by the Las Vegas Review Journal to inform local voters about these races. Jack, on your website, you tout the endorsement of several dozen attorneys. Will those attorneys receive preferential treatment if you're elected?
Absolutely not. Judges have to be impartial. I would be an impartial judge. There could be no worse feeling for a litigant to go in there and feel that the judge is chummy with other attorneys. The fact is that the family law section, the family law bar in Nevada is a tight-knit group. We mostly know each other, the family law attorneys. I know Margaret, I know Craig. We know all the judges, but it doesn't mean that we get preferential treatment. And in no way would I ever give preferential treatment for anyone who's supported me or donated to my campaign.
Thank you, Jack. Margaret, you currently work as a hearing master in cases involving child abuse and neglect. If you're elected, you may not be assigned to those areas. Do you have enough experience to handle the other types of cases you may be assigned?
Absolutely. There are 6 new seats in family court. 3 of those will go to dependency and 3 of those will go to domestics, which is child custody and child and divorces. What everybody needs to know about me is I do currently carry the calendar for courtroom 14, which will go to an elected judge. In addition, I was a parenting coordinator and I worked as a family law mediator for many, many years. Since I was first barred in California in 1990, I have worked in the family law arena. I have a specialty in family systems. I work well with family dynamics, and I've worked with over 1,500 litigants through my family court program that I started at UNLV called Cooperative Parenting, which was for family court litigants going through the most high conflict custody cases that the court experiences.
Thank you. Craig, I did my best, but I couldn't find a campaign website or any evidence online that you're running aside from your filing with the Clark County Registrar. How do you expect people to vote for you if they can't find out anything about you?
Well, I'll do my best to get out there and get my name known. We do have a website that is going. I've got a Facebook page, and generally try and get out and meet people. What I'm trying to do is avoid soliciting campaign donations, particularly right now. Right now is not the time to solicit campaign help or campaign donations, but instead it's time to get out and help our neighbors. With that being said, I'm doing my best to try and do telephone work and try and meet people telephonically or even over the internet. And unfortunately, I'm not getting many donations, and I'm trying to avoid that. I don't want any donations because I don't want anybody thinking that because they made a donation that they're going to get special treatment. So I'm avoiding that as much as I can and trying to do a campaign that gets to people, but that also doesn't solicit donations.
All right, thank you, Craig. Jack, and this question is going to be for everyone, but we'll start with you, Jack. Do you think any of your opponents are unqualified or unsuited to serve as a family court judge?
I wouldn't say that anyone is unsuited to participate or become a judge. Unqualified, I think people are more qualified than others. I wouldn't say anyone is unqualified because the requirements are simply that you've been barred for 10 years and that's essentially it. But I do believe I'm the best candidate in this race in terms of my experience. The other candidates I don't think have as broad of an experience covering divorce. I've done abuse and neglect. I've done guardianship. I've done all areas of family law. And I've taken the family law certification exam and passed that. And I am, like I said before, the only certified specialist in this race.
Thank you, Jack. Margaret, same question to you. Do you think either of your opponents are unqualified or unsuited to serve as a family court judge?
I agree with Jack in that we're all qualified to serve as the judicial officer for the new department. The question is just about experience, and I think that we all have practiced in family law. The key is going to be judicial experience, and there's a huge difference between being an advocate and a neutral, which is the judicial officer. I've worked as a hearing master, which is the appointed judicial officer, working through these cases as a neutral, understanding both sides, coming to quick and efficient resolutions, and also dealing with high caseloads. And I've proven my integrity throughout the course and through the courts. And in addition, I've also proven that I can do the work and that I'm qualified to be on the bench.
Thank you, Margaret. Craig, same question to you. Do you think either of your opponents are unqualified or unsuited if they're elected?
No, I don't think so at all. I don't know either of them very well, but I don't believe qualification has any part to do with our particular campaign. I believe that I'm better suited. I think that I have a more practical experience. And I think the fact that I did go through this system earlier on gives me a different perspective. And that perspective, I will let all of the litigants and voters know that I understand how they feel. And I understand frightened are when they come into the family court. I've seen firsthand how a judge can disregard their rights, disregard some of the rules and regulations that would benefit them. And I want voters to know that if they come into a courtroom that I'm presiding over, none of their rights will ever, ever be disregarded, or neither will they be treated like they don't belong there, or that they should be somewhere else for some other reason. They will get the utmost respect, and all of their rights will be honored and provided, regardless of whether they have an attorney.
Thank you, Craig. Stay tuned. This debate will continue right after these messages.
The Vegas Nation podcast is your source for all of your Las Vegas Raiders news. Subscribe and get fast takes and smart coverage. Download the Vegas Nation app and check out vegasnation.com to stay up to date with your Las Vegas Raiders.
For all your Raiders news, like us on Facebook, download the Vegas Nation app, and go to vegasnation.com.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us. You are watching the judicial primary debate for Department V of the Clark County Family Court. Margaret, this question is going to be for you. As you know, federal law requires that states file for termination of parental rights after a child has been in foster care for 15 months of the most recent 22 months, with some exceptions Now, some foster parents, however, don't believe that happens on a consistent basis. If you're elected, will you require DFS to abide by the 15-month rule?
Well, there are a lot of factors to consider there. Number one is what the parent is doing in order to try to get their kids back into their care. The things that they need to do are participate in services that are recommended by the Department of Family Services. So it's not a hard and fast rule. What we have to know is federal law requires children to have permanency within the 12-month period. And we need to have a permanency goal that focuses on the kids. After the 12-month period is over, that has got to be our primary focus. However, parents have a constitutional right to parent their children. We must regard their rights and their due process rights. So as long as they're participating, they're involved, and they're making progress. But at the 1-year mark, we have a pretty good indication of how the case is going to go, and we should always consider those rights. With the overriding issue of the parents, the children are entitled to permanency. So it's not a hard and fast rule, and we have to take into consideration on a case-by-case basis. But yes, we need to move towards permanency for children.
Thank you very much, Margaret. Craig, same question to you.
Yes, absolutely. Have to follow the rules and the statutes. However, I agree that, like Margaret said, that we have to look at the facts of the case. How it ordinarily works is while parents, if they have a termination of parental right, they still simultaneously will have the justice court case, the underlying case or whatever that there might be a CPS action. So while parents are struggling to complete their case plans, if they get hit with a termination of parental rights case at the same time that they're trying to complete a program, that could be harmful to the parents as well if they are legitimately trying to get through their program. However, we still have to consider what's going on with the children. Are they in foster care? Are they being provided for? So on a case-by-case basis, it's going to depend on what's going on. But as a general rule, yes, we follow the guidelines. And if the statute requires it, then we got to follow the law.
Thank you, Craig. Jack, same question to you. If you are doing foster care cases, what happens at that 1-year, 15-month mark?
Sure. I represent foster children as a CAP attorney. That's the Children's Advocacy Project. So I am involved in those types of cases, and I've had a trial on termination in the 432B cases as well. I think they've pretty much covered what needs to happen, but it is such a case-by-case specific thing. There are guidelines. We need to follow those guidelines. There's federal monies, which is what's really all behind this, tied to those types of guidelines. Most people don't know that type of thing, but what you have to make sure is that the department is making all reasonable efforts and that the parents have a plan. And it really depends on whether the parents have followed that plan, whether the reasonable efforts have been given, and really the circumstances of that case.
Thank you, Jack. Craig, we'll start with you on this question. What's one deficiency you see in the family court system, and what would you do to fix it if elected?
I think one of the big issues is access to mental health. We have a lot of cases where ultimately it hinges on a mental health evaluation. Many parents come in asking that the other parent be evaluated for whatever purpose. It could be for custody, it could be divorce proceedings, whatever. But it's a big issue because a lot of times people just can't afford to go have a psychological evaluation performed, and who's going to complete it? They're very expensive. And if the people don't have insurance for it, it's just not going to happen. I'd like to see more training for the judges regarding psychological issues. And I'd like to see more access to either pro bono psychologists or some sort of system where we can have people either evaluated or even children to have somebody to speak to on a pro bono basis.
Thank you, Craig. Jack, same question to you. What's something you'd like to see changed in the family court system?
Well, what I would hope to change, at least in my department if I'm elected, is really the efficiency of the process. One of the things that you see in family court is a huge backlog of cases. There are tons of cases going through the system. And one of my biggest pet peeves is if a judge is not prepared. I think what I would try to do and what I would do is I would be prepared to rule even before people come in, and then I would hear their arguments. And I would let them leave these motion hearings with an order in hand. I would do the order from the bench. They already do that in child support court, but it's not really seen in most domestic cases or anywhere else for that matter. So I would conduct the hearings in a way that doesn't let people drone on, and I would let them leave the court with the order that's enforceable.
Thank you, Jack. Margaret, you're a hearing master, but you're running to be a judge. What's something you'd like to change in the family court system?
I think efficiency is definitely an issue. I have one of the highest caseloads at the family court currently, and we work to be efficient. We work to get orders at the time of a motion hearing. In addition, I think that it's important that we have access to justice. 70% of our litigants that come into family court are unrepresented. They don't understand the system. We need to make it simpler. We need to let them know we have a self-help center, we have an Ask a Lawyer program, but we also need to have, as a judicial officer, the opportunity to give them information as they stand there with a handout that's very effective, works in other courts, so that they know how to file a motion and what to do. We have classes. Most litigants don't know about those classes, both at the law school and the Legal Aid Center of Southern Nevada. We need to inform them and let them know what we have available as well. So it's about knowledge, information sharing.
Thank you, Margaret. And stick with us. We'll be back for our final segment in just a moment. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. You're watching the judicial primary debate for Department V. We're on to closing statements. Margaret, we'll start with you. 45 seconds.
Thank you so much, Victor, for having us on tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to everybody about why I feel that I'm the most qualified candidate for Department V in family court. I believe that it's important to have experience and integrity, especially we'll have 50% of our family court judges changed after the next election. In addition, we need to work on access to justice for the entire community, so the system is more understandable and accessible to everybody within our community who needs the services that we offer. We have 7 areas of specialty in family court. We need to have a candidate on the bench who understands all of those areas and has practiced in all of those areas in one way or another. I've served as a hearing master, appointed judicial officer in half of those. The community involvement piece is huge as well. We all have to be involved with our community, especially when we're on the bench. We have a responsibility to help our community and work with our community to not only make the court system better, but to also bring an outreach to our community and programs within that community. I'm committed to the families of our community, and I hope to gain your support in this next election. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Margaret. Jack?
Sure. I'd like to thank you, Victor, and the Review Journal and the viewers that are out there. I encourage all the voters to do their research on the candidates in this election, and I hope this debate helped provide some of you with valuable information. I hope that each and every one of you completes and turns in your mail-in ballot for this primary. It's a mail-in only primary. I believe I am the best candidate for this job. I believe I'm the best candidate for Department V. I have the knowledge, the experience, the ethics, and the temperament for the bench, and I thank you again for having me tonight.
Thank you, Jack. Craig, 45 seconds.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the opportunity. I just want the voters to know that if they walk into a courtroom that I'm presiding over, that they won't be intimidated, they won't be bullied, they won't be treated as if they don't belong there, and all of their rights will always be afforded to them. I want the voters to know that I understand what they're going through. I've been in this system. I have worked in this system for 15 years. And that it's my goal is to fight for them and to give these voters and the public a courtroom that they can come to and know that the judge is prepared, that the judge knows who their family is, that the judge knows the issues, that the judge understands what it is that they are trying to get resolved, and that they are frightened. Anybody who goes into the family court knows that they are frightened out of their minds. And when they walk in there and they are mistreated or disrespected or treated as if they're wasting the court's time, they need a different judge. I would be the judge that makes sure they are taken care of, that they are treated very well, that they are respected, and that they are afforded all of their rights.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate you.
Thank you to all our candidates, and thank you for watching this edition of Nevada Judicial Debates. Remember, you can find this program and more information on all the judicial races at reviewjournal.com. We'll see you next time.